Great, I forgot the countdown. Here's the countdown. Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching me, because today it is just me. I'm sorry about that. And see, once Ron is not here, I'm messing up the start. I'm appearing on the screen without the countdown. I'm already lost. But yeah, next week, I believe Ron and myself will finally be on the show together again after last week where I wasn't here, and this week Ron being absent, unplanned. That happened or occurred today. Maybe he's going to share more stuff or more details on this next week. What does it mean for this week's show? As always, if it's just one of us, it's going to be a bit quicker. We don't have the interaction that Ron and I typically have, which I, of course, deeply miss today, but I've seen him yesterday, so we at least had some private discussions there. Yeah, without further ado, let's jump right in. What does it mean for you? Throw some questions at me if you want. If not, we'll be done quite quickly, I would say. And as per usual, we are going to start with the top 3 funding news of the week. And there were a few. The first one I want to share is from Puttshack. I think we have talked about them before, but essentially they are a very modern version of what many of us know as mini golf. I always like that they say it's a tech-infused version of mini golf, and you see why. This environment here looks very futuristic, lots of lights, lots of screens. So you get tracked, you have all your current stats in the devices that they're using. So very modern. It seems like they're very successful because they have raised $150 million from funds by no one else but good old BlackRock. And as we know, those guys don't mess around. So yeah, they are taking things serious there. So that fund was raised, managed by BlackRock. It seems that they're very successful, at least in the US, because that's the market they're focusing on. And they're going to use the money to expand that footprint. So mini golf is a thing now, or again, or something like that. Second news, also a decent chunk of money, not 150 mil, but 87.4 mil in Series B for onX. And onX is one of those companies where, like, all right, sounds cool, but I know at least 10 other companies who are doing the same. But there is a market for that. And what do? They have an app for outdoor adventures. We know tons of them. We have our All Trades, our Komoot, our whatever you have. There are at least 10 of them who have like a decent audience in the millions. And I think All Trades by user numbers is the best one. And there's onX, another one who got a decent chunk of money, the 87.4 million. And as you can see, they have, let's say, a little bit different audience, I would say, because they specifically mention off-road, hunt, and okay, backcountry. Backcountry is pretty common, but off-road and hunting, I think it's a bit different than your typical outdoor app. But it's basically about finding good routes, know where to go, don't get lost, and have a good time. I'm sure they have a good time with 87.4 million in Series B. Round was led by Summit Partners, who already led the company's Series A, and a bunch of other supporters. So that is looking good for them. And last but not least, the smallest of the 3 rounds that we want to share today is into a company called Spren. I'm not sure if I'm butchering that name. invested by some big names. One of the most well-known one is obviously Drive by DraftKings. And they have a really interesting product, in my opinion, and a really interesting approach. So they have a biomarker platform. And how does that work? All you need is your phone. So you use your phone to and the phone's camera to check your most important biomarkers. You can go on the website. It's already in use for 35 million users. And here comes the thing. They are compatible with a bunch of devices that we all know, like the ones here, Apple devices, Polar, Sunto, Garmin, Wahoo, a bunch of well-known, well-used devices that then can turn your camera into a biomarker inside platform. And if you hear these platforms and the compatibility, you already know that this is serious business. So that is the top 3 funding news of the week. Let's move on to my favorite topic, which is, of course, NFTs. We have some news from the world of baseball. And it's actually a concept that we've seen being executed by the NFL previously, a little bit by the NBA as well, but more on team level. And this time it's MLB and Candy Digital. Those two are always in bed when it comes to Web3 and NFT offerings. They are offering commemorative NFT tickets for fans who have tickets in the postseason. Similar to the NFL, I think it's them getting their audience used to having NFT tickets, and they're adding some cool stuff like a nice picture, some stats, a date, pretty much all that you would expect. So they want to make it look nice and pretty and want the fans to like them. And I think it's not too far-fetched to guess that next season they're probably gonna try to monetize that if they think that the timing is right. But as always, a good first step to bring the audience closer to the topic of NFTs. And I think NFTs are a cool thing. Right now, only commemorative, only collectibles. In the future, most likely going to be used to actually give you access to the stadium. Speaking about access to something through NFTs, that's our next topic here. There is a company called Endstate, and they're doing something interesting, which has been talked about for quite a bit, and it's a pretty straightforward concept, but they're actually doing it. So it's about sneakers that exist both in the physical and the virtual world. I think if you look at them here, that's the physical, the digital one. And if you scroll down, I think this is the physical one. And the cool thing is the physical shoe comes with 2 things, with a QR code and an NFC chip. And you can scan the QR code, and then you can do some augmented reality stuff. That's more like the engagement, social media kind of world. And with the NFC, you get pointed to the NFT, so the digital twin, so to speak, which shows that you have the original shoe, and that's a proper shoe. And secondly, that NFT then gives you access to exclusive events, some other merch, all the utility stuff that we know. Pretty simple concept, talked about a lot, but I think nicely packaged into this product by Endstate. And I think a good mechanism for a new and upcoming brand to position themselves and also talk to an audience that hopefully appreciates that product. So nice little news there. And as you can see, if Ron is not there, I have no one to ask what they think about the news. So I'm flying through the news, but still some time for some good old agua. All right, then let's move on to topic number 2 in our countdown down to number 1. And it's a company that we have been featuring quite heavily in this show, and we have talked about this topic already, I believe, but now it's confirmed. Fanatics, that giant that basically does everything, started in e-commerce, then added some Web3 stuff, fantasy elements as well. And now they are rolling out their sports betting business in January 2023. And the most important line is here. So it's confirmed by CEO Michael Rubin. And he says that it's going to be available in 15 to 20 states, which is obviously a lot, and that they're going to start with the NFL. So that is obviously a big thing. We all know it's a massive industry, lots of revenue potential, lots of companies trying to capture that ever growing market, and now Fanatics is amongst those companies. And what we always have to mention in this context, and it's a pretty obvious thing, Fanatics has lots and lots of customers, and that means lots of people they can advertise this to. And this is probably the reason why this guy here, Michael, is looking so confident. That is the news on Fanatics. And there's the top news of the week, which is something that sounds impressive, sounds big, but I think it's something that we have seen a lot of times already. So it's not, let's say, too innovative or too unexpected. Yeah, there is a World Cup coming up in December. And as you can tell, I'm struggling with the FIFA website, with their user interface. So there's a World Cup, Soccer World Cup coming up in this end of November and in December in Qatar. And of course, that is the big thing for FIFA. It's only every 4 years, so they have to pull all the strings that they can pull. And one of the things is, of course, a metaverse angle. And as the FIFA mostly like to play it safe, they are partnering with a metaverse giant that has partnered with a bunch of other big brands already, like Nike, and in sports we've seen it with the Australian Open, with the NBA and others. FIFA is collaborating with Roblox. They announced a partnership, and we don't have to go through the entire article, but it's pretty much the same that all other Roblox partners do. So you can do a bunch of themed stuff in a virtual world. They didn't share much details yet. I'm sure they're still figuring some of that out. But the reason why they're doing it is also an obvious one. They want to reach the younger generation of fans who, as we know, like to enter topics through the digital and gaming side of things. It could be EA Sports, that's one angle. And now Roblox is another one, used by FIFA with the hopes of connecting to the younger audience. So not many details here. All we see here is metaverse platform, has lots of users, multi-year partnership, immersive virtual gaming environment, and commitment to being on the forefront of the Web3 and metaverse movement. So nothing specific yet. Yeah, this was it already. These were the top 5 news of the week. Apologies again for keeping it short. One was planning to attend, couldn't. So better than canceling the show is always to do the show with just one person. And I think next week it's going to be the 2 of us. Again, that's it from me for today. Thanks everyone for joining, and have a good rest of the week. Ciao, ciao.